waiting for my little on-air button to button. Hi, and welcome to my 2017 year-end review. I'm Tara Swigert. I help women make empowered decisions in their life, both through choosing all-natural solutions with doTERRA essential oils and through making the right decisions for their small business with my work with makers and artists. You can find all of it at taraswigert.com. If you are watching this, you probably already know me because I only sent the Hey, We're Live Now video to people who signed up for it. I am streaming on both Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. If you're in any of those places and you want to get links to everything I mentioned, go to my site, taraswigert.com/2017-review. I'll put the link in all the places. If you're on Instagram, can somebody type it on Instagram? And on Facebook, I will give you the link right now. The videos that any of the other places cut off, I will be on my site. I know a couple of you are crazy to me. There you go. There's that link. Hopefully that'll work. Oh no, I hit finish. Crap. Hold on just a second. Okay. Sorry, everybody who was watching there. Let's try that again. We'll go live. Oh, you know what? Facebook isn't going to let me go live while I still have YouTube up. Oh, it did. Okay, awesome. Hold on just a second. Can you say the link again, please? It's taraswigert.com/2017-review. And there's a chat room. There's going to be links. There's 2 forms for you to fill out the different things that I mentioned. Yeah. So if you hit play, let me tell the chat room. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So now we'll really get started. I got that chat room. I got the Facebook chat room. Now I am doing this so that you guys can ask me your questions. That's why I'm doing it live. Thank you, Jolie and Jenny. So that you can ask me your questions about anything. So like I said, last week we talked about reviewing your year. This week, I'm going to share my own lessons that I've learned in my business, what went well, what did not go well, the disappointments. I'm not really talking about it anywhere else because it's not something that I necessarily want to live forever on the podcast, or I do these webinars as webinars and not podcast episodes because they're just for you guys. So the people who come to them are like the people who want to know this stuff and give me some grace and some space to like figure stuff out, where the podcast is more like, I've thought a lot. I've got it boiled down. Here's what I know to share with you. These webinars are a place for me to talk a little more casually, a little more, I don't even like the word webinar. That sounds so official. There's no like slides. My notes are just my notes in my journal, and filling out my Map Your Business, which is the book I made and is a book I use to do my own year-end planning. And yeah, so on these, I just like to chat and be real with you guys. And I know you guys have questions about, especially this year with what I'm doing in my business, because I change things up a lot. And in past years, I've always liked to include you because you are the entire reason I get to do what I do, is because you guys listen to the podcast, buy the books, join the Starship, get essential oils, hang out with me online and share your stories. Everything I know about small business, I've learned from working with you guys and talking to you guys. And so I like to just be honest and show you what's going on. So hey, Lorraine. Hey, Michelle. Thank you, everybody who's here. Grace and space. You like that phrase? I just made that up, Georgie. So if you would, if I am not making sense, let me know so I can make more sense. Talking things out with you guys actually helps me write better podcast episodes and be a better writer and figure things out for myself. If you have any questions, just ask. If you have questions about how this applies to you or how you could do something similar, let me know. Like I said, I did a video all about your own year-end review last week, so you could totally watch that. And in it, I talk like how you should do this. So I'm going to flip to my notes. Lessons learned in 2017. I did this during one of my morning journaling sessions. So let's just get right into it. So the main thing I wanted to share today are the lessons I learned in the last year, what did not go well, big disappointments last year, spoiler alert, and what did go well. And then I'm going to tell you what I'm doing next, particularly the things that you can be involved in, like, because you probably don't care about the other stuff, right? But the stuff you can be involved in, and that you telling me you're interested in being involved now actually helps me plan next year better. So I've actually spent a couple days up until now reviewing the last year. My next step is reviewing what I'm going to do in the next year. I have 2 projects in mind that I need your feedback on in order for me to fully make those plans. So that's what we're going to do. Everybody cool? Okay. Check my chat room on my side. Excellent. Okay, so let's see. If you're having any trouble watching this, go to any of the other places. On my Facebook page, Tara Swigert page, facebook.com/Tara Swigert page. On Instagram Live, I'm Tara Swigert, and on my site. It definitely works on mobile on your site, but if your mobile device isn't working, you know, can't I can't help you. Okay, so lessons I learned in 2017. The big lesson, and this totally applies to you guys, I know because you tell me that this is something you deal with too, is that the deepening realization, I would have told you that I knew this a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, but it is like more and more certain than ever that, you hear my dog walking into the room. He wants to know the point I'm making. The big lesson has been that I am not here for your approval. I love you guys. I love making things that make you happy, that serve you, that help you build a better business, that give you more freedom, both time and financial freedom. But I can serve you without needing your approval. That has been huge. Hey, my brother Justin just joined Instagram Live. Hey, Justin. So that has been a big lesson for me this last year, is that, and I want to hear your guys' responses to this, if this is also something you guys deal with. So a big lesson from last year has been that I don't need, or I'm not seeking in my work, your approval, or really anyone's approval, because this is really tricky for when your business is serving other people. And for all of you, whether you're artists or you sell essential oils or whatever you do, your business is to serve the people who are in your community and create what it is that they need. But you can do that without being hooked into getting their approval. Because when you are too attached to getting your community's approval, you try to make them happy all the time versus creating what you're best suited to create. Let me know if that makes sense. So what I mean is that I pay attention to what y'all need, to what I'm best at creating, to the direction I want to go in my business and my life, and I make business decisions from that space. If I make it from the space of what will people think and will they approve of it and will they be happy of it, I'm not going to make the best decisions for me and my business and my life. And if the decisions aren't good for my life and my business, it's not sustainable. I can't keep creating books and communities and classes from a place of depletion. And by the way, I never got to a place of depletion. That's not what this is about, because I take a lot of time off. And the other thing, though, is that when it comes to new things I want to create, if I'm worried that I'm going to get everybody in my audience's approval, I'm going to water down and I'm going to not do a bunch of stuff that I could do that would be awesome. But if I'm too worried about getting the internet's approval, then I'm not going to do the stuff that's really exciting. And tell me if that resonates for you. Like, is this something you deal with? Is this something you worry with? What's going on? Yes, so Leanne says, I'm facing that need / seeking for approval as I planned 2018. So glad you mentioned it. So the big thing for me was that I started a second business this year. I have a podcast episode, How I Found Time to Start a Second Business. I've talked about it multiple times. I talked about it in the last 2 episodes. My favorite things in 2017 is, Thelma says all the time, and Anne gave me a thumbs up. Thanks, guys. I started a second business and I really hesitated because of worrying about what people would think. And the thing is, what I was realizing when I was looking back on my year is all of the good stuff, not all, 90% of the really excellent moments I've had this last year, 90% of the new friends that I've made, 90% of my like excitement and enthusiasm for my work is because of that second business. And if I hadn't started it, I would have missed out on all that. I would have missed out on all the friends I've made. Hey, Jay. I would have not got to experience it if I worried about your approval. And when I say your, I just mean like the general audience, you. In fact, you guys, the people who are watching this video and watching the Instagram stream, you guys have been the most supportive of everyone. That's why you're still here. The people who were not supported stopped following me. They stopped listening. And you know what? It was wonderful. It's a fabulous moment of freedom to realize, A, the people who I most want to spend my time with, are like open for whatever I do. Now, that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to join me in whatever I do, right? If I created a class that was like how to balance your chakras or something totally out of the blue, doesn't necessarily mean that you'd buy it, but you'd be like, oh yeah, that's Tara doing her thing. So many of you have sent me that message to tell me that. Like, oh, you're weird, Tara. You're just doing your Tara thing. But like in a loving, nice way. You guys have never called me weird. But that realization that my goal in serving you is not to get your approval, but simply to make what I can best make that I think will also best fit your needs or fit the needs of the community I want to serve. Maybe that's not necessarily you specifically, or maybe it's not necessarily the same slice of people I've been serving. Maybe I'm opening up to a bigger, different, newer slice. Knowing that though, and making the right decision based on what I need and what I want has been great. So thank you, Justin. Justin says, love you, sis. Got to run to a meeting. You're so sweet. I don't know if you want to watch this video, but okay, I'll send you the link. My brother's the best, by the way. Nicole says this. So, okay. So Jolie says, yes, so much advice I see is create what your audience wants, which is well and good until you get to the point where you've made a business you don't like. Nicole says, that's so true, Jolie. I also hear that from the teachers and gurus. It's always something that's itching in my stomach. So here's the thing, guys. It's such a good point. I'm glad you brought it up, Jolie. I talk about listening to your audience. Oh, I wrote about this in my notes. There is listening to your audience and creating what they need, put through the filter of what you're skilled at, what you want to do, what you like spending your time with. And the big question I'm always asking people, is this the audience you want to work with? Are you listening to the people you really want to work with? Because if you're listening to just the audience you have and it's like randos that have nothing to do with what you really want to be doing with your business, and you listen to them and you make stuff for them, you're not going to have a business you love. So when you're thinking about making products for your audience, you want to listen to the right audience. And the right audience is the audience that wants the kind of thing that only you have and you can make, and is willing to pay for it, and is going to be awesome to work with. That last one is a big one. I have been so blessed in all of my working life. And I think it's because I pay attention to this a lot, that 99.98% of the people that I've worked with have been fan-freaking fabulous. They send me nice emails. They send me freaking free stuff for Christmas in the mail. They are encouraging. They are loving. They are kind. When they give feedback, they say, you know, I'm owning that this is my thing. Or they'll say, you know, I would love if you also did this, as opposed to, I hate that you do this, right? So I've been really blessed that the people that I'm serving are exactly who I like to work with. But every once in a while, people come in and listen to the podcast for a while and then send me their feedback. And it's just not the person I want to work with, which is fine too. It doesn't mean they're bad. It doesn't mean they're wrong. It's just not who I want to have my business working with. And all of this that I'm saying, this is true for you. This is 100% true for you. You have a group of people who you will love working with, and there are some people you're not going to love working with. You don't have to work with people you don't love working with. You don't have to make stuff for that audience. And then, above all, make sure it's always through the filter of what you can do best, what you can be really awesome at, what you can be excited about, the kind of work you can do. So for me, wait, let me check my notes because I said something else about listening. Yes. Okay. So you want to listen to people, but listen to the people that you're super thrilled to work with. Make stuff that will serve them through the filter of what you want to do, the direction you want your business to go, the kind of things you want to be spending your time doing. Anna says it's a really good point. I think it's hard to shake off negative feedback. It can be. It can be hard to shake off negative feedback. One of the things that helps is skim it or don't read it. So I got an email that said, and if it's one of you that sent me the email, know that I still love you, but it said feedback for Tara. So what I did is I said, hey, Jay, I got an email that says feedback for Tara. Can you read it? And then let me know if I need to read it. And he's like, yeah. So he read it and then he summarized. And I was like, okay, good. Send back you like, thank you so much for your feedback. Wishing you a great day. Something like that. But like, I knew that I would obsess over the specific sentences, and that's not good for my creativity, and it's not good for my relationship with all of you guys. And it's just not, Instagram is like weirdly, sorry. That's what I get for adjusting it. Okay, hold on a minute, guys. I dropped the little adjuster thing. Oh. Can you guys, if you fall again, I'm sorry. Okay. Jenny says, I really need to learn this, or at least I need to constantly be told this with a big hammer. Yeah, we all do. We all do, because I think part of it is we are, especially as women, sorry, Justin, we're socialized to please and to look outside of ourselves for that approval. You cannot create a business you love while you're constantly looking outside of yourself for your approval. So for me, how this manifested this year in my business is that I started a second business in April, partnering with doTERRA essential oils and supplements and amazing products in order to share their amazing things with more people, because I love them and use them. And because I love what they're doing in the world, all over the world. And my mission is to help women build sustainable freedom, both time freedom and money freedom. That doesn't mean they don't ever work, but that means that you get to do work you love, work that's built around something you're passionate about, and work that pays you fairly, so that when you need to, or you want to take time off for Christmas, or your kids are sick and you need to spend time with them, you have that freedom. Also freedom to not be stuck in a bad relationship. I was just talking about this with somebody today, that you know, if you don't have options, you end up staying in situations you don't want to stay in. That's a very real part of a lot of women's lives. And that's when I say freedom, I just mean freedom to make choices. And what I like about doTERRA is it opens me up to be able to help more people have more freedom outside of just the makers and artists I've been working with for the last 7 years. So it just lets me do what I've been doing, helping people on just a different scale and different kinds of people. They're actually the same people, like a lot of you guys know, because you're in my Facebook group for essential oil users, since you've gotten your essential oils, that the people in it are just like all my people, right? They're friendly, they're funny, they're passionate, they are smart and clever. And it's just that they're not people selling their art or their crafts, or that's not what they want to build their business on. Instead, they want to build their business sharing these awesome natural products and changing people's lives and changing their health through them. So that decision had to be a decision that wasn't based on anybody else's approval. And for a while, it was really hard for me to unhook from needing that approval. And it was also, when I said that you want to make things for your people, but filtered through what you want to do, that's the thing. I was so freaking excited. I was so freaking passionate. I was so like into learning this whole new business model, which before I had been insanely skeptical about and actually really judgy about. The more I learned about the way it works and how it could work out for people and what it would open up for people and the possibilities, and I met people who were doing it and changing their lives, the more I was like, I want to be involved in this so that I can help more women get time and financial freedom. So that had to be put through my own filter. If I just paid attention to what everybody else wants me to do, what my pre-existing audience wants me to do, you guys just want me, and not just you guys, because I know a lot of different people are listening, but my audience wants me to make more classes for crafters and makers. But the classes I've made, I think, answer the questions that I can best answer. Brand marketing, profitability, managing your time, and then providing community and regular support through the Starship. About a year ago, I wrote in last year's Map Your Business, I'm all tapped out. Not I'm out of ideas or I'm out of enthusiasm. I've taught the things that I most want to teach, and I've created classes I'm really proud of, and there's not another gap there that I want to fill. There's so many amazing people filling the gaps that are there in a bunch of amazing ways. So what do I do next? Like, what is the thing I create? I know my people would say more classes, create a class on this, create a class on Instagram, create a class on this. And I was like, that's not going to be A, the thing I'm enthusiastic about, and B, the thing I think I can do best. There's so many people that I think can do those kinds of topics better than me and are more enthusiastic and are more skilled and are more knowledgeable. So all of that comes back to looking outside yourself for approval and trusting your own gut. I'm going to look to see, does that make sense? Are there questions about this? So that's my first lesson. This is just a lesson for me. Maybe you don't need to learn a lesson because maybe you're not like hooked in getting people's approval all the time, but I am. So had to unhook from that in a big way. And it was awesome. Like I said, so much of the good from my year has come from deciding to let go of that. Not just because what I moved into, but also because when I let go of it, and I actively practice letting go of it, I'm just happier because I just care less what other people think. And that's just good. Okay, so I'm just looking at your questions. You guys are welcome to ask questions. Those who have just joined on Instagram, I'm sharing my lessons from the last year. You're welcome to ask any questions about anything. Let's go back. I missed my page in my notes. Okay, so the next lesson, which I actually feel is a lesson that I learned because, so when I do my year in review, I don't just look at the past year, I look like way back, right? Like at everything that's led me up to this point. And one of the things I realized, this is a lesson that I'm publicly saying, even though it feels kind of weird to publicly say it, but it makes better more in my memory. I'll go back to this video in the future and be like, I knew what was up. When I follow, this is the lesson, when I follow my gut, I'm right. I'm right. Like Gary Vee would say, I'm historically correct. What that means is over time, my gut goes the right direction for me. Not necessarily for anybody else, but for me, it's always, always turned out better than what I could have hoped that it would possibly turn out. And I want to share this with you because I know sometimes it's hard to trust your gut, and I just want to let you know it's the way to go. The own example in my business is actually many examples. So I was one of the first 200 shops that joined Etsy. My shop number was like 126, and the first couple dozen were like test shops. I got on Etsy before anyone else. I was selling, not before anyone else, but right in the beginning. I was selling hand spun yarn and selling it to yarn shops before many yarn shops carried hand spun yarn. Now that's much more common. I was doing eco-friendly and animal-friendly yarn before people were. This was back in 2006, 2007. And then I moved from doing my own business and having it quit my day job, having it replace my day job, to teaching other people how to market their own craft and their own passion. And I started writing articles for Etsy about this back in 2009. I was the only person writing an Etsy. It was called Stork. They're like what would be a blog now. The only person writing about marketing for your craft business on Etsy. A couple books came out in the next year or two. 2 books came out. But I was the only one writing it for that market for those people. And I stressed so hard. This is what I want you to know. I worried so much when I started talking about business and marketing that my yarn audience would leave me and that I would lose customers and that everybody would hate me. And it didn't happen. I mean, I actually found, so back here in my, right there, I have old journals. And actually, if you look down on the second shelf, you see that big stack? That's, well, some Bibles and then a lot of old journals. And when we moved 2 years ago, I went through old journals, and back in 2009, 2010, all I did was worry that if I started talking about business, I would totally lose my audience and I would lose my business. That didn't happen. So I'm not So the point isn't that I'm like one of the first to do things, because I'm never the very first. I'm like kind of risk averse. It's that I move into an area when it's starting, and then I move into another area when this area starts to become, I don't like the word saturated, when there starts to get a lot of people doing what I do. So when I stopped selling hand spun yarn, there were hundreds and hundreds of shops on Etsy that sold eco-friendly hand-dyed hand spun yarn. And I was so worried about moving away from it. I couldn't realize that maybe it was a good move. And it was. By the way, if you sell hand spun yarn, I don't think the market's saturated. It was where I wanted to go, right? It was following my own enthusiasm, and it was a good move for me. The next thing is my podcast. My podcast was one of the first craft marketing podcasts, and I thought it was completely crazy to be spending so much time every week making this, and it turned out to be the absolute best marketing tool for my business that I've ever used. The same thing, Jolie convinced me to do videos of my podcast and put them on YouTube, and I thought, oh, it's just going to be a waste of time. It's going to be so hard. I don't want to. And she was right. It has been totally awesome. The podcast and the YouTube led me to teach a class for Creative Live this last year about podcasts and YouTube. And it's where I think the way that everybody had a blog back in 2010, everyone will have a podcast or YouTube in another couple years. And so realizing, I said all that, not to say I'm awesome, to say that I trusted my gut at each step, and I was terrified at each step I was ruining my life. Just like straight up. When I started the podcast, totally worried was going to take up all my time and I was going to lose money and that people wouldn't like my voice. I'm so worried about that all the time. But the same thing with YouTube. The same thing when I started on Periscope, which I don't Periscope anymore, but now I do more live Instagram and Facebook videos because I did Periscope. It made me a better speaker. It made me more comfortable on online video. It's a really good choice. I was so afraid to do it. I was terrified to do it. And it turned out fine. So like now I am adding another income stream. By the way, before I go to adding another income stream, now a zillion people teach marketing to crafters and makers. A zillion. Not because they're all doing what I did, but because they had their own experiences and then they realized they want to teach. And so then they start teaching and sharing. And I think that's fantabulous. I think the more voices we have telling you to be yourself and trust yourself and share your work with the world and how to create financial freedom, the better. Because I'm not going to resonate with everybody, and people have different kinds of questions that I can't answer that somebody else can. But the fact is, it's not like there's not other places you can get information now, which is awesome because it means we all have more resources. So when I added the second income stream this last year, I wasn't even really thinking that. But again, I was terrified people would hate me and be mad at me that I was changing my business and that they would all leave and run away and I'd lose everybody. And instead of having a second really profitable income stream, I would have 0 income streams. That's what I worried about. And it didn't happen. Instead, I created this second totally equal profit income stream. So now, just actually December was the first month that my income from my doTERRA business equals my income from what we call, my website's taraswiger.com, and it's weird to say your own name when you're talking to your husband, speaking in the third person all the time. So I think of taraswiger.com, Map Your Business, Market Yourself, the Starship, all of the classes there as like TS. So there's like my essential oil business, and then there's all TS business, which is how many of you, like that's the bucket you're in with me. Anakin says, I must admit I've had similar worries regarding starting a doTERRA business. Yes, whenever you start any new business, it can be terrifying. And when you're starting one in a different market, in a different field with a different business model, it can be really scary. And that's what I worried about. So that taught me lesson number 1, unhook from other people's approval, decide I don't need it. And the second thing is that looking back on the past years, I realized that when I trust my gut, everything turns out okay. And that's what I want for you guys more than anything, is to know you can trust your gut and you will make good decisions. Part of it, I think, is just self-fulfilling. Like if you're really enthusiastic about doing something, even if you're really afraid, and you do it, you're going to do better, have more profitable doing the crazy idea you're super enthusiastic about, as opposed to staying in the business or the income stream or the product that you're not as enthusiastic about. So that is like That's huge. Realizing you can trust yourself and you're going to create a more profitable business by doing or adding or changing in whatever way you're enthusiastic. So even if the outside world or anybody who did a financial analysis would say it's a bad decision, if you're excited, then it's going to be good. It's going to like add profit to your business. It's going to add enthusiasm to your business, which adds profit. Why I'm talking about enthusiasm all the time, because it's so huge for actually moving your business forward, especially when there's just one or two of you doing all the work in your business. You have to have enthusiasm to get it all done. Enthusiasm leads to motivation, which leads to you getting stuff done. That's the heart of making your business profitable. For 99% of the people listening, the thing that's going to make your business more profitable is for you to feel more motivated to take more of the action and go more in the direction of where you want to go. It's not learning a specific marketing tool. It's not how you phrase whatever. It's you being really excited and doing stuff. That's what leads to profitability. And for me, that meant trusting my gut, even when, frankly, crazy pants to change my business at this point. I'm looking at the chat room. And by the way, if you guys have any questions about anything, so Georgie just made a comment. If you have a question, ask your question. So Georgie mentions that she was afraid that I was going to leave the Starship. Well, I can't leave it. If anything happened, I would close it. And I heard this from a few people. And it's interesting to me because I've worked really hard at making sure that you guys know, you guys, podcast listeners, students, Starship captains, that I'm not the only source of information. There are great sites, classes, podcasts, teachers, events you can go to and learn and learn. And I love that, like, we have a resonance that you feel like when I say something, it's in a way that you can understand. And that is why you guys listen and join the Starship and buy classes. But no matter what happens to me, like if I drop dead tomorrow, you can still get the information to grow your business. I so appreciate and love like the thing we have going on. So I don't have any intention of changing that. But I do need to be able to follow the things I'm really enthusiastic about in order for me to keep having a business, right? Because remember, like the engine behind TS, the Starship, my books, is me and my energy and motivation and enthusiasm. And if I don't follow things that build that, and I do things that just are the same always, it's not going to be good for you guys, right? If I didn't have more experiences about selling and marketing and sales and teaching, I wouldn't have anything to bring you. Yeah. Lynn says, you're the person we relate to most. Well, thank you. And I'm glad. But the fact is, if I died tomorrow, in another 6 months, there'd be someone else that you found, because now there's this open space and you can find them. And I don't intend on dying tomorrow. And I don't intend on closing the Starship or changing anything. My podcast, my videos, nothing. It's important to realize that I have to unhook from that need for you guys to need me. And you guys have to unhook from that feeling that there's like only one way. And here's the reason why I say this. I've been a part of communities and read blogs and had teachers that they stopped doing what they were doing. And there was, because they got burnt out, and there was a massive like, oh no, what will we do with ourselves? And people got all wrapped up in that you need to stay for me. And that is like not what we have going on, which is why we love each other, right? I don't feel like any of you, if you found somebody else or found another class, or, I mean, first of all, you can listen to 1 million podcasts, right? You can take 1 million classes. There's no limit to how many teachers you can be learning from. And also, and I want you guys to think about this in your own business. If you and your customers have this, we need each other, oh my goodness, there's nobody else kind of relationship, it's really hard for you to change and you to grow. So you want to create the kind of relationship where your audience is expecting that you're going to grow, you're going to change things up, you're going to offer new things, you're going to take away old things, you're going to be changing all the time, because that's the only way you're going to stay healthy and vibrant. And I think about this a lot because I just know so many people who built awesome businesses and then quit 2 years later. 2 years seems to be the kind of point at which people are like, I can't take this anymore. Does that make sense? Yes. So Jenny says, stop talking about dying. Sorry, guys. That's the thing, though. Like, it's going to happen. We're all going to die. Welcome to reality. Jane says, Tara, the realist. Exactly. I guess I think a lot about how to build something, how to empower you guys. So, tell me, parents, I think this is what parenting is, right? You spend your life empowering these little people to become adults that can then live without you. Like, ideally, your adult can feed themselves, wash themselves, survive, and have the resilience to live without you. I think about that with everybody I work with. Every client, whether they buy just one one-on-one session, they join the Starship for 1 year or 7 years, whether they read one of my books, all of my goal is to empower you to know that you can figure out the answers on your own, which means if I change up something, you'll still be fine. And I don't do it just so I can change up something. I do it so that you walk away from our interaction a stronger, more filled with self-trust person than when you started. That's my goal. So, well, we got to talk a little bit, and that's a little bit of a memento mori right here, right? We're all going to die. So let's empower each other to go on without it. It's not what I intended to talk about, but I love you guys. Oh, yes. So Leanne says, oh, so wait, so I'll go up. Leanne says, avoid making your business be you. It's a business. So yes. And Leanne, I hope you don't mind me just mentioning, she mentioned last week that it's really hard. If you make your business everything about you and defines you, and you are your business and your business is you, if something needs to change and you need to close it for whatever, anything that comes up, or you need to change it, it can be really hard to extract that. Now, that's still, I mean, even though I tell you all I'm going to grow and change, obviously TS is like my name, it's me. So it still is a huge part of who I am. But Georgie says, I'm depressed, let's have a drink. Well, you know, it's just 2 here. So that, like the more you can help recognize, and this comes back to unhooking yourself from the approval of others, the more you can unhook yourself from the approval of your customers and the need to have customers who love your work, the easier it is for you to do what you need to do with your life. And I think that this is coming up for me a lot, and this kind of turning this direction, because in the last year, 3 Starship captains have lost a parent. And man, that just changes your life, you know? And that just changes your perspective and your enthusiasm you have for work, and that changes your business, at least for a short time, if not for longer. And so I'm always thinking of how can I help you guys? How can I have, and how can you have the most sustainable business possible? Because life is going to happen. How can we be sustainable? Right? Whether it's that I go away or a loved one goes away, like how can we make sure that you don't lose that time and financial freedom when that happens? So, okay, so then, okay. So Hannah asked a really great question that I think, let's see, let me check Facebook really quick because a new message came up there too. I want to give Hannah's question time. Okay. So Hannah is telling Jenny she makes excellent choices. You should definitely trust yourself, Jenny. You've made like such amazing choices this past year. Jenny says it's 7:30 in Wales. It's a very respectable drinking time in Wales. That's what Jenny said. Okay, so Hannah says, hey, Tara. Okay, so since we're talking about my year in review, by the way, those are my 2 big lessons. I want to like summarize before I go on to answer your questions. 2 big lessons. 1, unhook I realized I need to unhook from your approval and disapproval. And the second one is that I realized I need to trust my gut. Whatever direction I've gone has always been more profitable, more successful, more fun, which is how like I measure success is like, can I pay my bills and am I having fun? And do I like get excited to go to work each day? And that every decision I've ever made has led me to that. So that means whatever decision comes up, I know I've got it. That is also confidence. And that's what we talk about in the confidence challenge is like, that's what I want you guys to build for you. So I'm sharing these lessons, not just like to talk about me, but because I hope that it can help you reflect on what you've learned the last year. And maybe these are things that are coming up for you. Because I know when we talk, these are both things that come up a lot for you guys. So wait, I'm checking my lessons. I think, yes. Okay. So then I'm going to answer Hannah's question. And then I'm going to talk about what I am doing in the new year. No, I was going to tell you about disappointments. I'll answer Hannah's question because it's about this whole making decisions. And then I'm going to tell you my big disappointments of the last year, the big successes, and then what I have planned coming up next. So Hannah says, hey, Tara, do you have an estimate of what percentage of what you're going to do next year is doTERRA and what percentage is going to be Starship, et cetera? So the hard thing answering that question is that I couldn't tell you what the percentage this last year was. So I can tell you income-wise, doTERRA is going to continue to grow. Even if I stopped working on it, it would continue to grow. And the Starship won't grow because I'm not opening it again in 2018. I said when I opened it at the end of 2017, it would be the whole thing for the next year. So everybody who's aboard, that's it till the end of 2018. So that the income from that can't change. But here's the thing that I don't think you guys know. The Starship income has stayed the same for 2-3 years. The thing that changes in my TS income, because we'll just put all the cards on the table, like you guys could realize this by looking through my site, is Map Your Business. Last year when I launched the print version of this book, it caused me to have the best month ever in December of 2016. Still the best month I've ever had in sales. I was just, updating my bookkeeping for the end of the year was when I launched this and did a pre-order of this. However, the profit margin of this isn't nearly as high because I have to pay for it, both to get it printed and to ship to my house and then to ship to you guys. So the biggest month in sales, but not the biggest month in profit, because this is a higher cost of goods sold, right? For those of you who are taking Pay Yourself, you'll know what I'm talking about. Then Map Your Business, the sale of marketing yourself. I get quarterly royalty checks from Creative Live and from Market Yourself, like the publisher who sells Market Yourself. I get royalty checks from them. And then each month, every 2 or 3 months, I get a check from some teaching gig I've done. So whether I've done TNNA or the local yarn store summit or Midwest CraftCon, I'm trying to think what the names of the conferences are that I teach at. Those all, or like some small workshop that I do randomly when I'm in a town somewhere. So those are all my forms of income. The Starship stays the same. It's those other things that go up and down each month. And then doTERRA has just been increasing since I joined. And so, but when you ask about percentage, I think you mean what percentage of time. And I can't break it up like that. I'm going to spend exactly the same amount of time that I spent in the past year because I do the Starship chat every Wednesday, the Q&A once a month, reading the forums and the Facebook group and replying in between bits, and the podcast, which is really not Starship, it's for everybody. I write on Monday and I record on Tuesday. None of that is changing. So, and actually, here's the thing. I started doing my doTERRA business in April of 2017. And the biggest shifts to how I spent my time happened in April and May and June. Now, moving forward, it's going to be the same as it was in October, November, December. So podcast, videos, webinars for both things, Facebook groups, all of that exactly the same. So, and this is important to remember, is that it is possible to grow a business, which is what I'm in the process of doing with doTERRA, without spending more time on the business each day. Like I didn't grow TS by spending more and more and more time in TS. In fact, when I looked at my review for, I did this at the end of 2016. when I wrote like what my day was like and how I spent my days, and then what could you change? I wrote my days and I was like, I guess I could spend more time working. I don't spend that much time working. And 2016 had been the best year ever to that point. I broke 6 figures in 2016 in sales, and I worked 20, 25 hours a week. So that, like, when we talk about business growth and growing a business, it doesn't mean that I'm spending more time on it, because that's not how I work. It's that I'm changing the way I think about it, and I'm building a lot of systems and programs and things to support everything. Okay, so Hannah mentions it seems like Handmade is dying, and in some ways it feels like you're jumping ship. Well, I don't even know what to say to that. First of all, I don't think Handmade is dying in any way, in the way that, like, more handmade businesses are full-time incomes and profitable things for people than ever before. That's not going to change. If anything, I think we're moving away from mass-produced things, and more people, like, literally, whenever I talk about what I do and I say, oh, I help makers and artists, you know, like people on Etsy, everybody now says, yes, my so-and-so has a shop on Etsy. 4 years ago, when I started doing this, no one knew what Etsy was. Like 4 years ago. It was 2010. Oh my goodness, 7 years ago. Nobody knew what Etsy was. When I had my shop on Etsy, nobody had any idea. Like, they would even be like, you have a website. Oh my gosh, you have a website. So, like, I think that as the web becomes more and more open, as there are more and more tools for us to share, it is going to become more and more common that people are fully employed doing what they want to do. So it's not in any way dying. And I'm not jumping ship in any way. I'm like, in all of this, guys, I'm not changing anything from what I did last year. Like, if you've enjoyed my podcast in the last 6 months, or you've enjoyed the Starship, or the classes that I taught on Creative Live, that is all staying the same. Maybe I should have started out by saying that. Nothing big is changing. I'm doing what I've done for the last 6 months. All the big changes happened in April, May, June. And yeah, like, everything is like kind of, I feel like I've got it kind of figured out now, how to balance the 2 businesses. And I don't really see them as 2 businesses. I see it as one business of me helping a bunch of people. They've siloed themselves in these 2 ways, but I'm doing all of the same things to help everybody. Like, I know Lorraine and maybe Brittany's watching. There are people who I've helped them build their doTERRA business, but they like listen to my podcast and watch my videos, and like, we hang out on Instagram. So when I'm talking now on Instagram, I'm talking far more to just the artists and makers. That's been the big change. Okay, any other questions? So Fairy Tale Knits says, trusting my gut is something I need to work on. I have a long list of things I want to do, but doubt is do all of them, but I want to. It is all things I'm excited about. Oh, doubt is making you think you shouldn't do all of them. Yes, if you're excited about it, pick the thing you're most excited about and just do it. Do it. I'm all about you guys doing the things you're excited about. Makes me very, very happy. Okay, I'm going to scroll down here. Yes, exactly. Okay, so I said yes, exactly, but oh, Lorraine says it's been amazing. Yay, I love working with you. Okay, so here is what big disappointments of the year. I promised I'd share these. I was going to jump ahead to what we're doing. Yes, so Lynn makes an excellent point. I think we do need to spend the time focusing well on our shops. Lots of people open an Etsy shop with 10 things and then abandon it. That's super important. Like, if you feel like Handmade's dying, it might be that you're seeing a bunch of people who just didn't follow through. But the same thing happened with blogs. Like, a bunch of people started blogs and walked away from it. A bunch of people started podcasts and YouTubes and walked away from it. It doesn't actually affect the actual core economics of how the thing works, the fact that people are joining and then walking away. So that never worries me. You're going to be profitable long-term if you stick with it long-term. Like, and you make the right decisions. Like, you're not just going to be profitable automatically, but you're going to be more profitable. You have a better chance of building a profitable business if you don't quit. So that, like, that's why I'm not worried about Handmade in any way. Okay. You guys are like saying awesome things in all the places. So those are my lessons of the year. Big disappointments we'll go through quickly. Okay, so there's one I don't want to talk about as much because it's more private. But the second big disappointment, just know that it's there. The second big one was, you guys know, I think many of you, that my husband and I were trying to buy the comic book shop where he worked. He worked there for 2 years. He quit his day job, and TS, my business, became 100% of our family's income. Family of 2 adults and 2 basset hounds who are laying here next to me. Oh, and we did have a cat, but she passed away in the last 2 years. So TS has been my full-time income, or our family's full-time income, because he quit his office job to go to work at this comic book shop. Comic book shop owner, like, he went to work at the comic book shop thinking, I would like to own a comic book shop one day. There's space available. It would be super cool to work there. And I was like, look, we can afford it. I think you should do it. You can become the editor of my podcast and work part-time, very part-time, like 4 or 5 hours a week for TS, and then work at the comic book shop the other hours. And you will learn if you really want to have a retail shop or not. And within a couple of days of working there, the comic book shop owner was like, I would love to sell the shop. I've had it for 25 years. I'm sick of it. I would love to sell it to you. So that's what we planned for 2 years. We built a business plan. We talked to the Small Business Administration. Like, we got an advisor there who we worked with to make these amazing, beautiful future, I always forget what they're called, but they're like finances for the next year, month by month, all of your expenses, all of your income, everything. We went to a Comics Pro conference, which is a conference for comic book shop owners. Like, we're fully invested in making this happen. We had many, many meetings with banks. Banks loved us, which is awesome. Banks loved my business, which was a highlight of my year for sure. But they didn't love the business we were buying. I don't want to get into any more of the details because, like, of the seller's privacy, but basically we just couldn't buy it. So a lot of work didn't turn out. Pretty sad. We expected, based on all the work we had done, for it to go through in March or April. It didn't. We didn't get the information we needed from the other party until July and August. So that was a long, stressful period of waiting. And then it didn't turn out to work, which took us August and September to figure out. So actually, while I built the doTERRA business, assuming that the comic book shop was going to be a huge part of my life going forward. And I actually told you guys this in my 2016 year-end review, that my plan for 2017 was basically to run a second business in the comic book shop. And so I had streamlined TS in a bunch of ways, which actually made it way more profitable. But I didn't streamline it for profit. I streamlined it for my time and energy so that I could go work at the comic book shop. And I wasn't going to be shop girl. I was going to be the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. So run their Instagram, a weekly YouTube channel, audio podcast, Jade at the Facebook page, set up a website. Like, that was my plan. So what happened in April when we started to not get the information we needed is I was like, I still want to start a second business. So what's really interesting is when I look back at the year plans I did for 2017 at the beginning of the year, what I wrote, first of all, I didn't fill out many of the pages at all because I told Jay, and I actually wrote it down in my journal, I felt like 2017 was a big black void. Not negative, not like scary or not depressed, just I didn't know what would happen. I didn't know. Will the shop work out in March? Will it work out in April? Will it not work out at all? What happened? Like, what is even going to happen? I don't know. And I just so a lot of the things I wrote for 2017 at the beginning of the year were super vague, and they didn't start to get more coherent until June or July, by which point I realized I just have to live my own life. I don't mean my own separate of Jay. I mean my own separate of the shop. I'm like, what's going to turn out and what's not. So that was a big disappointment, more for Jay because it was his dream and the thing he most wanted. And there's a disappointment to spend all the time and energy. And, it's hard to see somebody you love not get the thing that you've both worked really hard for. But what is really interesting is when I look back at, like you write about long-term awesomeness in Map Your Business. And I said, well, my income goals I hit, despite totally not in the way I thought I'd hit it. And so my battery is telling me it's going to die. It asks, what do you want to invite into your life this year? And I didn't write a comic book shop. I wrote a fun, thriving second business. And then, like, what would I like to learn? I wrote a lot of the stuff in sales and marketing that I've learned this year. The stuff I wanted to accomplish, I didn't accomplish any of it. The things I wrote on this page, literally nothing, because everything turned out differently. What do you want to experience in this year? I wrote travel, ease, and abundance. Who do you want to become? A confident businesswoman who doesn't worry about what other people think and their approval. What? That happened. All of that came into my life in a totally different way than I thought I would. But we're talking about disappointments. So that was a big disappointment. Didn't turn out the way I thought it, but something else amazing came up that I wouldn't have even had imagined. And then, so the third disappointment, let me check your guys' messages on Facebook. Post your questions if you have them. It's not going to load that page for me. Okay. All right. So I want to tell you guys on Instagram that Instagram's about to time me out. It says I just have a minute and a half remaining. You can go watch this on my Facebook page, facebook.com/TaraSwagger page, or on my site, taraswagger.com/2017-review. That's a link in my Instagram profile. If you go over and click on it, you can watch it there. So when this dies, I'll be there. You go over there now. Actually, go in and leave and go those other places. So my third disappointment is my book. So one of the things I wrote that I was going to do in 2017, by the way, I have no idea where I thought I'd have time for all this, was I had an agent. She had accepted my book proposal. She was on maternity leave and she was going to start sending it out in January or February. So when I was planning for 2017, I was like, my book's going to go to some editors. They're going to give me a book deal. I'm going to write a book in 2017. This is another reason why 2017 felt like a black hole, because I didn't know when that would happen. I didn't know how it would happen. Like, I just didn't know. So I am now turning off my phone and Instagram. I didn't know how it would happen. And I just thought that it would. And what happened is that we didn't end up having a finished book proposal for her to send out until April or May. And then I found out at the end of July, the last day of July, my doTERRA business turned gold, which I'm not going to go into. Like, what gold means is it's an average income in the business of $58,000 a year. So that was a super significant moment in my business. I got this statue for it right there. And literally moments after that happened, and I saw it happen in my doTERRA account, I got an email from the agent. I opened it and it said, sorry, everybody's turned down your book, but they said really nice things about you. And she copied and pasted all of their comments and replies. And they were super nice. People liked it. They liked my voice. They said I would like to see other things that she did. But this topic is we just picked up a book on this, or we feel like it's too similar to this book that we just published, or, you know, we're already working with this author on a book that's also for craft businesses, and we just don't think there are that many craft businesses. That was a giant disappointment. I bawled my eyes out. I was on a flight, like I had went gold in the airport in I'm spacing Charlotte Airport. And I get on the flight, and like, while you're still sitting there, you know, waiting for everybody else to get on, I open my emails, I read, I start crying, and I cried the way from Charlotte to Tri-Cities. And then like, I just started laughing, like halfway through, I'm like crying, you know, and the little, you're not supposed to call them stewardess, flight attendants, asked me, are you okay? And I was like, I'm totally fine. Just, you know, sad email. So, and then I had to tell you guys, and then in September, when we found out we didn't get the shop, I also had to tell you guys. So disappointments, fun times. Woo. Do you guys have any questions about that? I don't really know what else to say about that. I was very, very happy with the feedback. But just like happy with the feedback from the banks. The fact is, the thing you wanted to happen didn't happen. It's just disappointing. I don't really know how else to say that. Oh, Katie, that's a good question. I'm going to answer that in a minute. Yeah. So those are my disappointments from the year. So And it's hard to change the subject after being like, hey, guess what? Really crappy things happened. The thing is, though, is that like, it was actually hard for me to remember those disappointments because so much of the year was so great. And all of them were sad in the moment. And they're more like sad in the way that you thought your future was going to go one way and then it didn't, but you're actually still really happy with where it is. So it's kind of okay. Does that make sense? Leanne says, did you podcast about how to move on from the disappointments? I think I did. That sounds like the kind of thing I would do. I definitely said something about disappointments and how to move on. I think Leanne's right. I think there's an episode. I can go back and check and paste it. Katie asks, how did you adjust your plan during a year with so much uncertainty and change? Did you go back and change a plan? Spoiler alert, I didn't make a plan for my year. I mean, the plan was buy the comic book shop, get a book deal, figure out how to do everything at once. And so in the interim of waiting for other people to let those things happen, I did my own thing. And one of my own things was joining my friend who said, would you be interested in building a doTERRA business really, really fast with me? And I was like, I told her, it was right before Pay Yourself launched. And I was like, look, I redid Pay Yourself. I spent tons of time and energy on this. I need to redo this launch, pay full attention to it. This is after I'd researched doTERRA for like 3 weeks solid and like stayed up until 2 a.m. every night watching videos. And then I said, but yeah, once I do the Pay Yourself launch, I will focus on this, see how it goes for a couple months before I really tell people about it. Because if it's like a scam or if it feels gross or if at any point I feel like anyone is being dishonest about anything, I am out. And I told her, look, we might buy the shop in a month. Like we might take ownership of the shop in a month. Like at any point, the 30-day clock of like us taking over could start. And I have a book with a publisher and I might get a book deal. And she was like, okay, if those things come up, we'll deal with it then. But I told her, I was like, the thing is both of those things require other people to say yes to me. And I hate to operate like that. I'm a big believer in choosing yourself, in deciding there's so many projects you can take on. You don't have to wait for a gatekeeper. So this is one of those projects. So yeah, I'm going to do this until the gatekeepers say yes or no. And what is so excellent about that decision is that when people said no, I was like, well, I still got other stuff to do. Like in July, I got the no. And I thought, well, that's good because now I can focus on this business I'm really super in love with. And actually, I was on a flight back from a retreat with people who have become my dear, dear friends. And it was like a doTERRA learning retreat held by them, not like the corporate anything, just held by people. And I had such a good time. I met so many lovely people. Many of you are here. And just felt great about the decision, about spending time with these people, about everything about it. So the negative, it was like, oh, well, I wanted a book deal, but I have all this other stuff to fill my time. And when we actually found out about our last thing we were going to do to get the shop, it fell through while I was out of town, which I was super sad for Jay about, that he was home alone. But he was like, well, we've got all this other stuff we can do. By that point, I had already told him that I wanted to do this thing I'm going to tell you about that I'm doing in the beginning of 2018. And he was like totally on board. And what he said to me is like, that means I can do it with you. That's so exciting. I was like, yes. So like we had something else. So I didn't say this is one of my lessons, but this is definitely something to keep in mind. Choose projects. If you're doing a project where you have to wait for somebody else to approve of you, to okay you, to give you a deal, do another project that nobody else is in charge of but you. And that way, no matter what happens with the other project where people are in charge of you, you are directing the flow of your business, of your life, of your energy, of your enthusiasm. You can still run with that. So if you start if the project relies on nobody but you and you get this other deal, you can always stop doing this because you're like, it's just your own project, right? But if you have a bunch of deals that all require other people's approval, then you have to limit what you can take because you can't just stop because people are counting on you. So that's how I operate. Just a random little extra for you. Yes. Okay. So any questions about disappointments? Next up, well, I told you, I mean, we basically talked about the thing that has been awesome this year is really, okay, number one thing that's been awesome this year, meeting people in person. I met so many of you guys. I met you at TNNA and Midwest CraftCon. Midwest CraftCon, I taught both business confidence, which was awesome. We had people crying. I love it when I get people to cry. Are you all crying now? Sad about my disappointments. And then we did, business confidence and another big tearjerker, a panel on depression and anxiety in your craft business. Like, how do you manage a business and still deal with crap? And that was awesome. We all cried, like on stage, and I had just a really great time at that conference. And then I did this retreat held by my doTERRA leaders, and I met them for the first time and just like totally became friends. Convention was amazing. I met Brittany and Mieko, saw more of Dave and Liz and Em, and just like, oh, and Lindsay, I met Lindsay there as well. It was so just fantastic to see people in person. So I'm going to be doing way more of seeing people in person in 2018. So now let's talk about what I have coming up. Just checking to see if anybody asking any questions. Yay! Lorraine says it's going to be huge in 2018. I can't wait to see you. Yes. Oh, duh. Katie, Creative Live. Katie, are you the Katie that was at Creative Live? Your little image is hard to tell. Yeah, Creative Live was awesome. It was my third time doing it, so it felt less. Same thing with TNNA. TNNA was amazing. I had such a good conversation with so many of you at both TNNAs, the one in San Jose and the one in Columbus. Yay. And then I had but because I've done it so often, it just seems like, oh, of course I did TNNA. The same thing with Creative Live. Like, it was my third time doing it. It was so much better than ever before because I didn't have the same level of stress. I felt like I know what to expect. I still really stressed myself out ahead of time, like, because I wasn't prepared. It's not that I wasn't prepared. No, like, I don't want to end the sentence with that. It was that I prepared differently than I had prepared in the past because the timelines were a little different and the expectations were a little different. So I was really nervous the week before, but by the time I was ready to leave, I was like fully ready. I felt super prepared. Basically what I did in the past is I would spend like 3 hours each week working on it, 2 to 3. And for like 4 or 5 weeks. This time I spent 1 week where basically I thought of nothing but my Creative Life classes. And it was really great because I felt like it was easier to get in the flow because it was like so fully steeped in it. So it was great. I met Katie. Katie was there. It was great. And I met Carrie, who, like, we've been emailing. She became a doTERRA customer and we're talking about seeing each other again when I'm in San Francisco. And Liz was in the audience second day, who is one of my leaders in doTERRA and is just a really good friend and mentor. So that whole trip was like magically wonderful. So yeah. So that goes to the best thing about the last year was meeting people in person. So I'm going to do more of it this year. What I have planned, and this I need your guys' help with. Thanks for sticking with me through this whole review. By the way, I super appreciate it. Yes, Leanne says, I like that you're being fed while feeding others. That's what I'm talking about, following your enthusiasm. That's what it feels like when you're really enthusiastic about your business, is that it is so fulfilling while you're creating things that like bring joy to other people. Pretty great. So, here's what I have planned in the new year. 1, I'm going to see a lot more of you people in person. See your cute little faces. I'm excited. 2, I am going to help 3 more people reach a massive big goal in their business, specifically around doTERRA. So let me tell you about number 2 first. This last year, one of the I told you the best part of the year is meeting people in person and working with people. The thing that I think a lot of people don't know is that in my work with many of you guys with doTERRA, what that means is we're connecting, we're talking to each other a lot, whether it's Facebook Messenger, whether it's the videos I do in the group, whether it is mentoring. It is a lot of getting to know people and helping them reach their goals, both through their actions and through my actions. Whenever I'm building my doTERRA business, I'm also building the business of the people who are working with me. So this year, my team hit platinum, which means that I helped 3 people hit their goals of silver. What that means is that I helped 3 people hit a goal, a rank where the average income is $24,000 a year. $24,000, I think I have that right. And it's $2,000 a month is how I think about it, USD. That's amazing. That's life-changing. One of them has already quit her job as a nurse because her income, her doTERRA income, has replaced her nursing job income. That's the best. So like, I love when people quit the jobs they don't like because of what they have going on in their business, because they can afford to. It's just so, so exciting. So that was my goal. That was my goal for this year with doTERRA, is to help 3 people earn an average of $2,000 a month. And that is the earning averages as reported by doTERRA. And you can find all that on their website. I'm happy to give you a link. That's their official averages that I'm quoting here. So that's been awesome. It's been amazing. I have done that through mentoring the people, helping them learn the process. And the process of building a doTERRA business is really simple. You love the products, and then you educate people on how essential oils work, and people who are interested by them. There's not salesy, it's not slimy, it's not, I mean, unless you feel all sales are slimy, in which case, I guess so. Many of you guys have been to my essential oil webinars, workshops, where I talk about, like last week, I talked about how to let go of emotions when you review your last year using essential oils. I've done ones on emotional well-being, ones on just basic, like how to use essential oils. That's basically what you do. Most people do it in person, but because I have an online audience, I do it online. And what I'm going to be doing in 2018 is a lot more in-person workshops just like that. But to go back to this whole business side of things, this is what I wanted to tell you. I am looking for 3 new people who haven't already started building businesses in doTERRA, who are wanting to hit the rank of silver, that average income of $2,000 a month, in the next 3 to 4 months. So I've already done that with 3 people. I know it's possible. This isn't like magical thinking. It's totally doable. I've done it. This is why I didn't talk much about the businesses that I was helping build for several months, because I wanted to first see that the business model works, that the products are really what they say they are, that the company is in integrity and spends their money the way they say they do, and that there are ways to build a business while being a real person with authenticity and integrity. And the women I've helped, Lorraine, Rebecca, and so Lorraine is in the UK, Rebecca's in Australia, and Brittany is in Pennsylvania. And like I said, it's changed their lives already. Their business is continuing to grow. It's not like that's where they're stopping. Their next goal is to hit gold, which is an average of $58,000 a month, or around 4,000. No, I said 4,000 a month, 58,000 a year. Again, this is in US dollars, so it's a little different for the person in the UK and the person in Australia because of the money translation. But life-changing. And I'm looking for 3 more people who want to do that. And what we're going to do together is, starting the 2nd or 3rd week in January, I'm holding a 6-week business training for everybody on my team. No matter how fast or slow you want to grow, there'll be 6 weeks of lessons that will walk you through the basics of how to build a business. By the way, this is free to everybody on my doTERRA team. So whenever I talk about any business training, there's no paying for it, because we're all building together. It's a collaborative business. So 6 weeks of training, walking you through how to invite people to a class, how to share oils with people, how to educate people on oils, how to explain how they can get oils at the best price, and then how to follow up and continue to provide awesome customer service. For those of you who have got oils from me, you know that afterwards we then get on the phone for a half hour and actually help you use the oils in your life. And I'm there for you to ask me questions 24/7. That's what I'm going to be teaching, how to do that, how to manage that, and how to do it effectively, and how to do it while still being yourself and still serving the people you were put here to serve. So many people are like, well, first I need to build a big Instagram audience, or first I need to build a big YouTube channel. No, you have people in your life that you're brought here to serve. Like I worked with a massage therapist. She has clients who already want what she has to offer. So you help those people get it at the best prices, the best quality. That's it. That's what this is. It's serving the people who you already are here to serve. So I'm looking for 3 people who want to grow really fast, put in the work, hold workshops. And here's the thing, because I'm traveling in 2018 all over the US and the UK to hold workshops with people. If you are committed to hosting and inviting, I will come teach your first several workshops, and I'll teach you how to teach your own workshops, and I'll continue to support you in that way. But I'm going to actually come to your town and help you teach it. So I have a form on my website. The link is here in the description if you're watching on Facebook, at that 2017-review site. If you scroll down, hopefully everything worked right. Last time I did this, the links were all messed up. There's a form there for you to fill in if you're interested. I just ask some questions. There's no way to answer the questions wrong. Just be honest. And then I'm going to talk to you all individually to figure out what your goals are and how I can best help you reach those goals. So anybody, no matter how fast or slow they want to grow, is a welcome to join the team, get the free training. The 3 people who are committed to doing the work to hitting that silver goal in 3 months, we're going to do one-on-one mentoring every week. So we'll do the group like lessons that I'm doing for the whole group. And then, and then group mentoring with both you guys who are new and also my experienced leaders, Rebecca, Lorraine, and Brittany. That way you can learn not just from me, but from other people who are doing it in other ways. Because most of the people who do this, 99% of the people, don't have an online audience. And Rebecca didn't, Lorraine didn't, Brittany didn't. And so I want to have them there to talk to you about how they've done it, just by sharing it with people in their lives and sharing it in a way that's not gross and didn't make them like that girl that everybody avoids. So there's a form under this video. If you're watching on my site, I'm trying to click over to see if you have questions in the chat room, where you can fill it out and tell me. If you're watching this on YouTube, you got to click over to my site. I'll put the link there to fill out the form. Let me know if you're interested. We'll then chat about it if you're interested. But there's the main thing I want to tell you is that mentoring program is going to start with the 6 weeks of lessons. Each week there'll be a lesson. And for those 3 people, there will be a group mentoring call where we will work through whatever is holding you back, whether it's emotional, mental, whether it's stress, whether it's just knowledge. Make sure you have it all so that you can move forward. Lorraine says, what a great opportunity. So Lorraine and I have been doing one-on-one mentoring, and it's been amazing. So that is a thing that's starting in January for people who want to build businesses. I'm looking for those 3 people in the next couple of weeks, like by June 10th. I hope to have those 3 people. If you aren't interested in building like big and fast and you're like, I don't have that much time to commit. By the way, I'm looking for somebody's with like, who wants to work on this 5 to 15 hours a week to hit 2,000 a month within 3 months. And then beyond that, like really I'm looking for people whose goal is to have a 6-figure business, because that's what everybody, many of the people I'm working with are working towards. There are also people who just are doing it to like get their essential oils for free. That's totally fine. But my own personal goal is by the end of 2019, I'll have helped 6 people build 6-figure businesses with doTERRA. 6 people build 6-figure businesses. Yes, I said that right. So freaking exciting. The more of you guys that quit your day jobs that you hate, like the better my life is. Which, by the way, 3 Star Shippers and 1 doTERRA person so far have quit their day job in 2017. That's actually the best part of it. Okay, so next up is, I told you I'm traveling around. That's the next thing I'm doing and this applies to everybody. So hopefully I didn't lose you because you didn't have to. You weren't interested in the business. Hopefully you're still here. I'm going to go do workshops all over the place in 2018. Keep wanting to say 2017. This is, I'm trying to think of a fun name for it. Somebody said you should just call it your world tour. But later in the year, I'm going to go to Australia, and that'll be my world tour. So from February through June, I am doing a program where I get some of my travel subsidized. And so my plans are to go to the UK twice, definitely LA and San Francisco 1 or 2 times each, and then maybe somewhere in New England. But basically, what's going to help me decide where to go and when is you guys. Where are you? This is what I need to know. So if you go over to my site and you scroll down, you'll see there's a form or a link that says fill out this form to tell me where you are. Click on that, fill out that form and tell me where you are. And you You know what I should have included in that form, and I'll do it as soon as I hang up, is are you interested in learning more about essential oils in a workshop? Because that's what I'm going to be doing. So I am, and for those of you who are like wondering about managing my time, I'm going to be doing it on weekends. And like, so already, so back in 2016, I didn't work any Fridays and I work very few Mondays. So that's when I've been doing my doTERRA work already. So I'm going to be traveling usually Friday through Monday to do those workshops, because that's when most of you are free to come to workshops. So what a workshop is like is you come, I have a bunch of oils that are free to smell. I tell you the 3 ways to use essential oils so that you can use them safely on both you and your family. Then you share what your issues are, what you're looking for support with. And I tell you about them, and you smell them and you see if you like them. And then I help you get them at the best price. Kind of like setting up an Amazon account. I'm not packing them all. You order them yourself from the website. And yeah, they're always super fun. They're super like connecty and warm. And because it's going to be winter in February and March, we're going to have a good warm time. So, yes. So yes, that is what I am doing in the new year. So what I need from you is, if you have interest in building, let me know. I want to get you in the group mentoring program in January. At any point, if you want to try oils, you can try oils, and at any point decide to build a business or not build a business. I really wanted to say that. A lot of other direct selling companies work like you have to decide to build a business from day one. doTERRA isn't like this. So many of you actually were just customers who love the oils, that share them, and then have built businesses or just built a little side income. And you can always do that. So if you are currently a customer and you're thinking you're interested in the business, let me know. I hope anyone at any level, no matter how big their goals are, build a business when you're on my team. So you don't have to decide to build a business now, but if you want that, you have that goal for the next 3 months, fill out the form below this video on the page on my site and let me know so that I can get you in the group mentoring program. That's the thing. It's going to be a 6-week group mentoring. If I sold this on my site, it would go for $300 to $400. Not selling it though. It's free for those of you who are in my team. And then if you just are just anywhere and you want me to come to your town and hold workshops, fill out the form and tell me where you're at. Nicole asked, am I coming to Norway? I want to, because I have several of you there. Is it Norway or the Netherlands? Carolyn is in the Netherlands, right? Yeah, Carolyn asked me to come. I would love to. I mean, I need to do both. I don't have immediate plans to, but if enough people in Norway fill out that form, I will make it part of my UK trip. Then I'll have to call an EU trip. So any questions about anything? We have now been chatting for a good long time. Hopefully the form is showing up on my site. I'm gonna hit refresh to see if it is. And you know what? I'll post it here on Facebook as well. Oh, no, it's not gonna let me. Any questions about anything before we go? If you are on my doTERRA team and you're watching this later, I'm going to make an announcement in our Facebook group about that group course, the 6-week group course I'm putting together. I've already talked to the leaders about it, and everybody's going to have access to that. It's going to be emails you get and like worksheets and videos. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be juicy. It's going to teach you a lot of stuff. So no matter where you are on your doTERRA journey, you get that. And if you, if you haven't got started yet and you want to fill out that form, like you're not buying anything, you're just telling me, and then we can chat about if it's right for you, if you just want to get started with the oils before you decide, all of that. So I'm going to check again for any questions. And of course, page 1. There we go. Oh, it's okay, Simone. Here is, so here's the form for Biz Interest. Let me take a minute for it to load. And if you're watching on YouTube, go to my site. I'm going to put the link in the description below. It's taraspiker.com/2017-review. And the forms will be under that page. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here with me. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your year. I would love to hear about your 2017 review. If you have been wondering, what is that book she uses for her review? It's Map Your Business. You can find it at taraspiker.com/map, or you can get it on Amazon. If you live anywhere else in the world other than the US, you're going to save on shipping if you order it from your own Amazon. But if you order it from my site, you get a signed copy I send to you. This is my filled-in copy, so you don't want this one. But I'll send you a fresh one, signed. So I hope you guys have an excellent day and an excellent end of the year, and I cannot wait to see all of your little faces. Go tell me where you live. I'm also going to send this out to email subscribers so that they can just click a link and tell me where they live. So yeah, I'm excited to see all of you. I didn't really go into as much detail as I thought I would. So the world tour, it's going to be February through June. I'm going to go multiple places, still yet to be completely determined. I'm going to teach workshops. I'm going to spend 2 to 3 days in each city, and I'm going to do like out and back trips probably. So yeah. So it'll still go with all my normal work. And what else was I going to say about it? I don't know. I'm really excited. I really, really am looking forward to seeing many of you. So if you're on my email list, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to send an email asking you to categorize yourself as one of the different areas. And then I will send you an email when I come to your town. If you fill out the Google form, I will send you an email when I come to your town so that you are alerted to it. So just make sure you open emails by me, and keep watching this space. I'm going to do regular announcements on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook of where I'm going. I'm going to be putting all of my events, all of my workshops in my Facebook events, because that's what you guys tell me you most like. I'll do it in my private Facebook groups and my public page. Probably my public page and share to my private groups so that you guys can keep track of where I am and you can come visit me and see me in person. I'm looking forward to having coffee with all of you. I hope you guys have a really excellent end of the year, and I'll talk to you later.